Craving the perfect holiday snack? Check out Farmer Bill's Biltong. Think beef jerky, but better. No sugar, no preservatives, just pure animal protein goodness. Crafted from premium grass-fed beef or bison and air-dried to perfection, Farmer Bill's Biltong is nutrient-packed, energy-dense, and perfect for an on-the-go treat or a standout snack for your next party. My favorite is the original bison, but the other flavors like the original beef, smokehouse, and spicy chili had me second-guessing that choice more than once. Visit FarmerBillsProvisions.com to grab a 1-pound slab or a variety pack and use code BIZBIT10 for 10% off. Farmer Bill's Biltong, don't be the 2-liter guy at this year's Christmas party.
In Weimar, Germany, the farmers weren't just sitting out there with their gold. The people from the cities went out to the farms and was like, we need your food. And they took it. Like, we cannot be passive. The goal right now is not to have as much Bitcoin as you can right now. The goal is to make it out the other side with as much Bitcoin as you can. We're in a war. We're in a financial war right now.
Welcome to the Business Bitcoinization Show, the show dedicated to helping you enrich your life and grow your business with Bitcoin, the hardest money on planet Earth. I'm your host, Josh Friedemann, and our guest today is Wesley Schlemmer, who's the executive director and co-founder of Bitcoin Bay. Born and raised in Florida, his goal is to put Tampa Bay on a Bitcoin standard. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin Bay, what he's doing there with the foundation, as well as the business workshop that they're hosting there this upcoming Sunday. But before that, we do have this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight, and our meetup this week is, in fact, Bitcoin Bay. Bitcoin Bay is an in-person, Bitcoin-only meetup in the Tampa Bay area. Their focuses are community, prosperity, and resilience. They started as a BitDevs meetup, but quickly realized that people weren't ready to learn about Taproot when they still didn't even have wallets. They now meet weekly with one special monthly event, and their next one is the Bitcoin and Business Workshop on April 23rd. They're just getting started and are excited to build Tampa Bay into the vacation spot for Bitcoiners. And if you don't happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, you can download the Oshi app and find the closest Bitcoin meetup to you. Now, we're going to get to our interview with Wesley right after this. Business owners, unlock the benefits Bitcoin has to offer your business with the Bitcoin for Business Quick Start Guide. This 27-page guide highlights the 6 ways you can grow your business with Bitcoin. Check it out in the show notes. Wesley, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh. Appreciate it.
So I'd like to start off every single interview with a few questions that help us to get to know you a little bit better and to give us some insight for our own lives. So you ready for these?
Yeah.
When and how did you first learn about Bitcoin?
So it was around back in 2017. It was still crypto. You know, I opened up a Coinbase account. I mean, I had been investing in college and was like, oh, you know, I'll grab, you know, Bitcoin. I came in right after the block size war, so I missed the Bitcoin Cash airdrop. But so I bought some Bitcoin Cash, some Bitcoin, some Litecoin, some Ethereum. You know, just held it for a couple of years. Forgot about it for 2 of them, and then so it was probably around like 2018 where I really started being like, okay, no, like this, like, holy crap, this is gonna take off. Like, we need, like, still in the investing mindset. It wasn't really until the trucker protest that I was like, okay, like, this is real. As imperfect of a deployment of capital that was, it was still the only way to get those people money other than walking and handing them cash. But like, their bank accounts were closed, GoFundMe's were closed, everything was closed. The only way to actually get people capital over there was sending a Bitcoin. And that was kind of a real, like, oh, okay, this is real. So I guess that was probably what, mid 21, or late 21.
The next question is this: what's an insight or fact about Bitcoin that you wish everyone understood?
Yeah, I mean, probably that it's just not as hard as it used to be. I mean, everyone, I feel like, is still kind of operating under this 2017 paradigm where things, you know, weren't the easiest. They still aren't, you know. I mean, like, I run nodes, and even still, I'm just like, how is someone else supposed to do this? I care. This is my full-time job, and I can still barely get this thing to work. But I think just that, like, it's gotten a lot easier to get, like, that first 80% is download, Moon Wallet on your phone. It's an app and QR codes, and there you go. You can interact with the Lightning and Bitcoin network, but it's not technically a Lightning wallet, but you can still, interact with it that way. And it's
You get the idea.
Yeah, it's just gotten so much easier in the past 5 years, and I don't think people have fully, realized that.
What's the Bitcoin resource you most recommend to other people?
Probably Matt Odell and Marty Bent's Rabbit Hole Recap. That's where I get most of my up to date. I mean, whatever I'm not just trying and failing and learning out on my own. I typically get from them.
Question number 4 is this: beyond Bitcoin, what is a resource, tool, or an idea that's been helpful to you or your work recently?
All politics is local. Focusing only on your immediate physical area. This is obviously a global movement. We're clearly not together in a studio right now. But I can't fix anything I live in Tampa. I can't fix Jacksonville or Miami. I mean, like, the only impact you can really have where you can really drill down into it is in your local area.
That's a good word. So question number 5, we call it our arbitrary but insightful question, is this: as a general life principle, is it better to ask why or why not?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that one a little bit when you sent it over. The middle road answer is probably, when someone's telling me to do something, why? And when someone's telling me I can't, well, why not? So I definitely am a forgiveness over permission kind of guy. So I'm like, so people are like, oh, you can't, like, we just can't. This isn't going to work. I'm like, well, why not? Like, what do you mean it's not going to work? Literally anything's possible. I mean, people are doing crazy things all the time. So whenever someone's like, no, it just won't work, I'm like, well, I haven't tried it yet, so why not?
Meet Linkster, your premier Bitcoin-focused advisor. Linkster caters to businesses, institutions, family offices, and high net worth individuals. They merge your unique financial goals and needs with Linkster's Bitcoin expertise to craft your own sustainable plan to preserve and grow the value of your hard-earned profits and retained earnings. At Linkster, it's not just advice, it's tailored execution. Connect directly with the founder by visiting linkster.com. That's LYNCSTER.com. Linkster. Secure your future with Bitcoin. Today's episode of Business Bitcoinization is proudly brought to you by Velis Commerce, where the future of business technology meets Bitcoin. As we journey through the era of Bitcoin and its transformational impact on businesses, there's one name that stands out: Velis Commerce. Whether you're looking to build a cutting-edge website, a seamless mobile app, or custom software, Velis is your go-to team. They've been diving deep into the world of Bitcoin since 2014, making them one of the most experienced groups for integrating Bitcoin and Lightning payments into a variety of digital platforms. But here's what truly sets them apart. Velis Commerce doesn't just build. They bring a wealth of knowledge to ensure your project's success from day one. Their team understands the nuances of Bitcoin, ensuring that your business stays ahead of the curve. And for all business Bitcoinization listeners out there, Velis Commerce is offering a free consultation to kickstart your project the right way. So if you're ready to future-proof your business in the coming age of hyper-Bitcoinization, head over to veliscommerce.com or reach out on Twitter at veliscommerce. Let's make sure your business thrives in the Bitcoin era. Fair enough. Well, Wesley, we're here today to talk about this business workshop upcoming. I think it's Sunday, right?
This Sunday.
This will be aired on a Friday, and it'll be Sunday. So if you're listening to this, if you don't listen to these episodes as soon as they come out, then you might miss things. But this is a local event. I liked your point earlier about the value of local politics and working in your community. So this isn't something for everyone, but it's something that everyone needs to be thinking about for their own community. So I wanted to bring you on, talk with you about what the expectations are. Maybe on down the road, we can see, what the response was as well. But maybe even before we get to the workshop, could you share with us about what's happening in Tampa Bay and especially with Bitcoin Bay?
So, for the workshop, we do have live stream capability, so people can still come in if they hear on a Friday. But so we started January of last year. Got it. And it started as BitDevs. One of our guys, our co-founders, is a Lightning developer, and that's where I met him there, and we became fast friends along with a couple other guys from that meetup. But we very quickly realized that people aren't ready to talk about Taproot or ordinals or any of the most any of the cutting edge stuff, because no one had a wallet. no one had Bitcoin, or if they did, it was on Coinbase. So we pretty quickly pivoted into, those were monthly. So now we meet weekly. And with these extra events like this workshop event, which is only the first one, we're going to be doing these quarterly. We have 5 meetups a month. So we meet every Thursday, 7 or 7:30, depending if it's a social or an educational. And then one weekend a month, we're going to do a business workshop. And then the next month, community service event. Next month, a family event. So we really kind of hit the ground running. This year, especially, we spent, a whole year just educating people on wallets, privacy, nodes, just all of the basic stuff, getting people a solid foundation. And then this year, we really haven't gotten very many new people, people new to Bitcoin. We've gotten a bunch of people new to our meetup who already know their stuff, are already operating in the space, and were looking for action. So we kind of got to the point where, so we were meeting every week, and I'm like, all right, well, I can keep hanging out with all these dudes every Thursday, but nothing's happening. So that's where I got the idea for the Bitcoin Bay Foundation. So we want to be like a nonprofit organization focused on education and community outreach. We want to get into middle, high school, and colleges, so giving them crash course boot camps, kind of like an ACT prep course kind of deal, after school. The colleges do like coding camps. That way we're really just starting to churn out every year a new crop of Bitcoiners. And what that does also is they come to our meetups. And now we have an increasing network in the area of Bitcoin consumers. And when you have a network of consumers, supply starts going towards that demand. Like, okay, well, how can we start catering to these people? Ultimately, I've kind of realized that the best way to get people to do things you want is to just bribe them. So we're making money from, consulting or coaching or these boot camps. Go to a high school. Here's $200 in Bitcoin to start a Bitcoin club. Here's our standards that we've been using at other schools. Here's the first 8 weeks of stuff that you guys can do, and then we get enough of those. We have 20 schools around that have this now. Now we can do. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning here. Like, oh, it's Lightning at the Lightning night. It's the Bitcoin Bay school night. So it's, we've got a lot of plans. So I'm very excited. This business workshop really is just the start of what we're trying to do here.
What does the organization look like right now, the foundation? How many people are working, whether it's like full-time, part-time? What does it look like so far? Because it sounds like you have big plans. You're already doing a lot. What kind of manpower does it take at this point in time?
So we're still in the filing phase. Turns out it's quite complicated to get the government to let you not pay taxes. So we're making sure we get that all squared away correctly. But right now, what we have is a multi-sig wallet between myself and some other organizers. So our people can donate to me comfortably, knowing I can't just run away with the coin. Mm-hmm. And also, where I'll be on Thursdays anyways, so you can come beat me up if I take your money. But right now, since I also mine, I've been the one who's really been taking this and kind of trying to run with it and direct everyone. So we have one full-time employee, and it's me. Pay is not too great right now, but bear market stuff, it's no big deal. And then we've got a group. We have our board of 7 other people that focus on. We have a guy who owns an animation company who runs on Bitcoin. It's Echo Bridge. They did F is for Family, if you ever saw it on Netflix. And we've got other people who are sales. One guy runs a sales and marketing company, so he helps us with that. So basically, we have people in our circle that own businesses or are in other businesses, and they just take those experience and they just leverage that with us. So it definitely is a lot of man hours, but we're having fun with it. So I'm not too upset about it.
And when it comes to your meetups, what do you find to be the ones that people most attend? Are there certain types of things that you do? The reason I ask is you already know this, but we promote a different local Bitcoin meetup every single episode. It's just kind of letting people know that there's probably something happening around them too. So I think it'd be really helpful if there are other meetup organizers or people who want to lead meetups in the future, to know what types of things people seem to respond to best in your area.
Yes, we really haven't done much marketing at all. It's all been meetup.com. But people really liked our 101 stuff, the what is the wallet, what's the, what even is a transaction? It really depends on people's availability too. People got kids and they got a karate thing this Thursday, or they've got dance. So sometimes, for our socials, that'll be me and and like one other guy, and sometimes there'll be 20 of us there, and we're like, oh, okay, well, we weren't really expecting this. But consistency is really the key. Um, for kind of building this, is someone knows you're going to be where you're going to be and at what time. If monthly is typically what people do. But yeah, the basic stuff is what we've had the most kind of response to. When we launched the Florida Beef Initiative 2 weeks ago, and that was a really big workshop. We said there'd be local ranchers talking, at our thing, and that we got the most people we've had in a couple weeks. It was a higher, like it was probably like 35 people at that one. So it was exciting. We had 2 local ranchers, and we sold $3,000 worth of beef in one night in Bitcoin. But like basic stuff, and then if you have like a special thing you're trying to do, it's also going to depend on where you are. I mean, like I'm in a pretty big metropolitan area. There's like 5-6 million people around the Tampa Bay area. So we had people drive from Sarasota, from Lakeland, to come to that event. So it's kind of hard to give like a blanket answer for this kind of stuff, since everything so depends on where you are. But consistency is key, and keeping it simple.
Now, I'd like to hear a little bit more about the business workshop, and if you could just give people an expectation if they are streaming in, or whether they're maybe in the Tampa Bay area and want to show up in person. What can people expect? What are your goals for the workshop?
I'll start with the goals. Our goals are to onboard businesses. We've got about 25 tickets sold, which is great. We wanted to keep this one kind of small to make sure we actually could execute on it well. Because I'm not an event planner. I went to school for engineering, and I worked in biotech for a couple of years. Like small teams, like my head in a hood. Like this is not what I thought I'd be doing a year ago.
Sure.
So we're excited about that. We're going to be doing panels, and then we're going to start with 2 presentations: what is money, and then the value of Bitcoin. And then after that, we're going to be doing panels. Joe Wood from Satoshi Pacioli Accounting will be talking about taxes on Bitcoin. We have a local Tampa company called Block Spaces that released a QuickBooks and Bitcoin integration software. So him and Joe will be on our taxes and accounting panel, which are the 2 biggest problems that any business owner always complains about. The first, whenever I tell them like, hey, you should take Bitcoin, my accountant would kill me. Oh, I don't want to deal with the taxes. Just send them your QuickBooks file, or just hire someone else, pay the Bitcoin that you got from this. But he's been my best friend for 15 years. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Then we're gonna have an industry panel with Unchained. Trey Sellers is going to be coming down for that to talk about custody solutions, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I have to hold my own money. I'm like, yeah.
It's funny how it seems like a headache at first, and that's really like the value of Bitcoin, but it is extra responsibility people aren't used to.
Right. And it's not going to run away. I mean, like my seed signer sits right here.
Yep.
It doesn't go anywhere. But so we're having business owners that already operate on Bitcoin to talk about the challenges they faced, the things that weren't as bad as they thought, the feedback they've gotten, just so that way they can show kind of like a real situation of operating on Bitcoin Standard. And then we're gonna be doing Q&As before lunch, and then at the end. And then if people want to stick around after all of our panels are done, we're gonna be doing a workshop with we're gonna have some people from our meetup there to help any business owners get their wallet set up. If they want to, we'll send some moon bucks around, just like a couple sats here and there, just to show people like, hey, you can move 1/100th of a freaking penny instantly for free.
Yeah.
And so it's well, and also the last thing that they complain about is, well, no one uses the dang coin. So that's where it kind of goes back to the education that we're trying to start, breeding new crops of Bitcoiners. And then also we as Bitcoin Bay are going to be that continuing support. So if you own a restaurant or a bar, we will commit to having our socials at your place. If there's 6 bars, we'll cycle through. We're not going to be you're not going to be your biggest revenue stream, but you'll get a couple $100 in Bitcoin every couple of weeks. And another thing that people complain about is like, well, I have to sell Bitcoin to make my cash payments. I'm like, we're not going to be 100% of your revenue stream. We're going to be a very small portion of it right now. While you're getting started, it's going to be fairly negligible. Well, I mean, maybe not. Sometimes whenever we have our socials at a place, there'll be 15 of us in there. No one else will be in there. So like that day or those 3 hours, we were most of their money. But, over a week, it's probably only going to be like 1 to 5% of their cash flows.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the margins in order to, keep half of that even, it actually kind of empowers you that since we are such a small portion of your cash flows, that you don't have to sell that. You can actually hold that because it's not going to take away from anything else. You're not like, well, I got these bills to make, and I know some people have really thin margins, like restaurants especially. But that's kind of been another thing is like who uses it, and it's like, well, we will.
Well, and I think back to it, it's like if you have really thin margins in your business, then cutting out credit card fees is important. Like that's a helpful amount of money to boost your profits. And so I feel like especially if people have an issue with the margins, it's like, well, then Bitcoin really is for you because right now you're getting a decent amount of your money scalped by the credit card companies.
Yeah. It's like 3 to 5%. And if your margin is 3%, you just doubled your margins. Congratulations.
Exactly. I'm curious to know about in Tampa Bay, are there certain businesses you've invited or targeted to try to get involved? And targeted sounds, I guess, maybe a little negative, but like people that you can look at in Tampa Bay and say, hey, if they come, they're like a leader in their industry or in the restaurant scene. If they come, they're going to get people thinking a little bit more seriously about this. Is there anyone like that? Or this first time it's just like, hey, anyone who's interested and kind of on the cusp, come on.
So yes to both. There are some level 2 businesses that we do want. Like we have a restaurant group here that on one strip, it's like the main bar and restaurant area outside of downtown, and they own like 7 restaurants of the like 14. So if we can get them on there, then yeah, that's going to be huge. There's another like warehouse building, old like I think it was a trolley storage facility, and there's like probably a dozen businesses in that facility. So we want to, it's a place where you can get a chunk at once that we do want to eventually expand to, but we got to level up. You can't go after the big boss when you're just getting started out. So right now we have been targeting small and medium-sized businesses because those business owners have the flexibility and the agency to implement stuff like this.
I love the vision here. If people are interested who are listening to this, you said there's an opportunity to watch the stream. How can people do that? Is it straight from the event webpage or are you using a different platform?
Yeah, so we're on Eventbrite, but you can go to our website, bitcoinbay.live, and it'll take you to the registration right there. And if you use promo code BAY20, it gives you 20% off. All proceeds are going towards, funding Bitcoin Bay. Eventually it'll be going to paying me so I can actually pay my bills. But at the moment it's marketing and buying Bitcoin accepted here stickers that we can give to the business owners, just trying to make things easy for them. Like, hey, here's your kit. You want to do it? Fantastic. Love to hear it. Thank you. Put this sticker on your door. Here's an old Android tablet that has Breeze or some POS on it, so these things cost money, and I've spent a lot of my time and money on this. I know some Bitcoiners don't like it whenever you make money on things, but I don't really know why we're so anti-profit. Bitcoinization has costs because we have to build new things.
My guess is that there are a lot of people that still have PTSD from a bunch of people who use the guise of Bitcoin to then scam people into other things or bring them along into other areas. That's my guess. I can't imagine there are many Bitcoiners out there that disapprove of the approach you're taking. I think it's really a cool thing, and maybe you might not be able to speak to this yet because you're still figuring things out. But how do you make a viable income doing what you're doing? Like, is it really like beginning to make sure that you're reaching a lot of businesses, having a lot of different events that people are paying to come to and getting involved in a bunch of schools and getting paid to speak there? Are those the main sources of income, of revenue that you see for the future?
So certainly events probably will be a revenue stream. These boot camps that we want to do, I'm thinking right now, we haven't market tested these price points, but I'm thinking like $200 a head. We give you $100 in Bitcoin. It's really only $100. You get lunch, and you now have BISC or RoboSats, and you have a mobile wallet and a desktop wallet, and you know how to send, receive, backup, and restore. So, some people might say that's too expensive, but again, things, I have a mortgage. And then I also do this one-on-one consulting, going to your house and physically helping you set your node up. Because what I've really noticed is, and I think a lot of Bitcoiners, need to stop smelling our own farts on this. No one understands Bitcoin. No one knows what a node is. So when I have a 35-year-old guy with 2 kids and a job, he is used to paying someone to fix his sink. He's going to pay someone to come set up his node. Here's your wallet. Here's your seed. Never show this to someone else. I would make a new one since I just made this for you. But, this is what it looks like. Don't take pictures of it. Don't put it on your computer. Don't put it on the internet. Write it down. Put it in your safe. So that's kind of where I see, and I've already started doing some online consulting stuff. I did one with a guy in Czech Republic, and it was a great use case because the first thing I did was teach him how to buy Bitcoin. And then we did that on BISC, and then he sent it to me at the end of the session. So lots of revenue streams. Raw donations. I mean, we got sponsored for this event, which blew me out. I'm beyond grateful to our sponsors. I had no idea that people would want to do this, but I'm sure they see an ROI in it. If they can have a bunch of businesses that come to us, they're obviously they're Bitcoin interested, and as a Bitcoin business, that's who you're trying to market to. So I'm sure they're trying to make money on this too. But that's kind of the thing here is I think we can all make a lot of money. By creating this business network, in generating Bitcoin movement in our area, keeping the coin in my area for this, that helps me because my bags are now worth more because one, I can use it as a medium of exchange, not just as a store of value. Really, really am trying to break the HODL mentality. I struck a nerve on the Simply Bitcoin podcast I was on this morning. And people were not happy with me in the chats. They were all like, what's wrong with hodling? What's this? I'm like, nothing is wrong with letting other people do your job for you, I guess. It's your money. When you talk about people's money, you talk about their emotions, so everyone's got their strategy right now, but I've been in this for so long that I'm low on dollars. I need to spend my coin. And if you're spending dollars instead of your coin and then replacing it, you're still if you spent dollars, you can't buy Bitcoin with those dollars. So you essentially spent your Bitcoin. That's your purchasing power still. So it's just trying to get a more active community of people, because if businesses don't have people who are going to pay them in Bitcoin, why would they spend $300 on a point of sale service and then 3 hours on teaching their employees how to use it?
The thing that's good to pause on is to recognize that Bitcoin is creating a bunch of savers, which is not what we've had in the United States for a long time.
Right.
So if that's the problem we're dealing with, that's a good problem to have. But yeah, at some point, the idea is we need to be spending our money for things like lower your time preference. Don't buy things you don't need. But I think investing in a better future, which Bitcoin enables, and therefore maybe you need to pay someone to help you get your Bitcoin infrastructure set up. That makes a lot of sense because you're building for the future. So I see no issue with it, but I think it is kind of neat to think that this HODL mentality has created hopefully a generation, or at least a fraction of a generation of people who really care about saving.
Yeah, and that's the thing is this is my life savings now that I have, that people are I have it in my hands. I'm not giving this to someone else. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, yes, while you're getting started, if you're just getting your first 100 or 1,000 or a couple $1,000s worth of Bitcoin, and you still have a bank account full of dollars, put more in your stack. But also, I get not taking out that little bit, but as a Bitcoiner, in part of your journey there's going to be that weight shift of, okay, well, most of my money isn't in dollars anymore, or, wherever your currency is. It's actually in Bitcoin. Because if I am a Bitcoiner and I do believe that this is the money of the future, most 80%, it's going to depend on everyone's, not financial advice, and everyone's different. But most of your money should be Bitcoin. If you really do believe that this is the money of the future and that this is a monetary revolution, like why don't you have one? Why don't you have more? If you still have these dollars, why aren't they in Bitcoin? And if you want it to be the money of the future, you need to be able to spend it. And you can't spend it if businesses don't take it, because no one spends it because businesses don't take it. And it's just, it's a chicken and the egg problem. And some people are like, okay, well, the business is just going to sell it for dollars, then why would I give it to them? I totally understand that. Don't. I'll save you the step. I'll just give you my dollars.
I feel like the journey of a Bitcoiner is going from get off zero to get on zero. That's get off zero Bitcoin and get on zero fiat. And people are all over the place when it comes to that journey. But that's kind of the arc right there. And it sounds like you're a whole lot closer to the get on zero side of things.
Yeah. Oh, well, buying this house definitely helped. That helped me delete my bank account. I still have it, but like it's not as much as there used to be, because there's always something with a house. But I mean, it's scary for people because you're used to seeing numbers in your bank account, and that's getting low. And but like if you have cash flows, if you have a job, just pay your bills with that cash flow. So if you make $2,000 every 2 weeks and your bills are $1,500. You pay the bills and put the rest in Bitcoin. That's one of the things with this. Like, oh yeah, no, it's not convenient. I mean, I'm also trying to break the the 5-second DCA as well. I mean, like, there's no need to be buying 50 cents worth of Bitcoin every 5 seconds.
Sure.
Like through a KYC exchange, you're like, the tax burden of that is going to be insane, because I did a $10 DCA with Swan for a while, all the way up to 60 and then all the way down, so I've been harvesting lots of losses. But whenever I'm trying to calculate that now, because I have this KYC burden, I now have to go in and be like, okay, $10, $10. I have to try and batch all of these things and smush them up, and like, all right, this was this 0.1 that I spent on some seed signers. Like services like Bisq and RoboSats exist for a reason. Oh, the liquidity is not good. That's because people are using the more convenient options of the KYC Strike or Cash App or Swan. So I mean, there's a lot of, I think, self-reflection that needs to go down in the Bitcoin community. I mean, I think a lot of us are getting complacent. We're up 10 times from March of 2020, which is fantastic if you were in during then. But we can't just sit here and hodl. We can't sit here at hodl and like have my 5-second DCA going into my cold card, because when Strike gets data breached, it's always a win with these companies whenever it happens. I mean, like Equifax was 300 million Americans. When these companies lose custody of your data, that is going to be online. Your stack is going to be online. Oh yeah, well, I coin joined it. Like, okay, like, the people still know that you bought it, or they, the government knows you took out $10,000 from the bank. They don't know what you did with it, but they know it's out. So like, in the event of a 6102 type, like where they're gonna try and see, like how they tried to seize the gold, in that event, they're gonna, like, your boating accident excuse isn't gonna work. They're not above sending people to your house. I know that you bought 1 Bitcoin over the past 4 years. I can see it because I subpoenaed Strike, and this is your address. Where is it? Oh, you spent it all. Okay. Where are the tax records on that? So we are entering the then they fight us stage. And we need to act like it. We need to, like, shield ourselves. I mean, like, if you have that KYC burden and they come to your house and you have half a coin on a cold card, but you've been stacking for the past year and a half non-KYC, hand them the cold card. Like, you guys got me. Can I at least get some money for this? Here it is. Here's my half a Bitcoin. Man, I'm sad now. And obviously it's going to suck. But the goal right now is not to have as much Bitcoin as you can right now. The goal is to make it out the other side with as much Bitcoin as you can. Like, we're in a war. We're in a financial war right now.
I'm guessing across the last 7 or 8 minutes, I've lost some of the audience, and then the other half, or the other, 75%, maybe 25%, I don't know, they're nodding along in agreement. So I appreciate you sharing that. There are a lot of people that need to be taking their custody a little bit more seriously, how they're potentially buying their Bitcoin, different things like that. So I appreciate you sharing those thoughts. Before we finish up, do you have any final thoughts or maybe a final call to action for listeners?
Well, I guess if we could hit rewind for another about 5 minutes. But I mean, like, and I don't like, this is all very personal to people. This is our money. This is our future, like, and for people who are just getting started, letting perfect be the enemy of the good is not gonna help, So I've been in this for a while. I've been doing these things for a while. This is my full-time job. I'm able to do things people aren't. But there are simple things like switching your KYC DCA to a weekly buy on BISC. That's simple. It requires you to do something. Oh, well, like this is a radical self-responsibility movement. When you are your own bank, there are things that, didn't exist before that you have to now worry about. There is no forgot my password. Like there is a community that will help you as much as they can, but we got to shape up. I think Bitcoin Twitter has, gotten high on its own farts. It's, I'm gonna just sit back and hodl my way through the end of the dollar, where it's like, that's not really how these things have worked. In Weimar, Germany, the farmers weren't just sitting out there with their gold. The people from the cities went out to the farms and was like, we need your food. And they took it. Like we cannot be passive right now. The easy years are gone. The easy money and the easy years were the past 5 to 10 years. We have entered an entirely new paradigm over the past 2 years. I mean, shocking to say, COVID changed everything. But things are very much different now. And we need to react to the new paradigm that's at play.
So Wesley, if people have enjoyed what they've heard today, whether it's the business workshop or it's like, hey, I need to be taking things a little bit more seriously, where would you like for them to go to find out more about you and the work you're doing?
Bitcoin Bay is probably the best place. BitcoinBay.live is our website. You can follow me on Twitter at Bitcoin Bay TPA. That's for Tampa. But it's more of this. I understand that I come across a bit too direct sometimes. But I think it's my engineer brain that I have to call it like I see it at this point. It's going to make people mad. It already has. But turns out rage is great for engagement.
There you go. Well, Wesley, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Talk to you soon.
Well, friends, it's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Business Bitcoinization Show. If you want to reach out to either me or Wesley, you can find our links down in the show notes. And if you're interested in accepting Bitcoin in your business, check out the Bitcoin Bay event. As always, keep building, keep growing, and until next time, keep living and leading well. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, thank you. If you want to take a further step in your support for the show, you can help us grow by listening on Fountain, a value for value podcast app on iOS or Android. If you hear something you like that you disagree with or anything else, you can share it by sending some sats and adding a comment with your thoughts. Some of you have already done this and I appreciate it. I'm going to begin reading your boosts on upcoming episodes, so if you have some insight or value to add, let the people know. Getting started with Fountain is easy. You can add Bitcoin to your Fountain wallet by using your fiat accounts or any Lightning wallet. And one of my favorite features is that once you're using the app, you can earn sats just by listening on Fountain. Check out the link in the show notes to get started with Fountain today.